Welcome back to Movie Battleground. So we're gonna go for first question, and it's best Marvel sequel, and we're gonna start with Jake. So let's go.
So when I had to think about like best Marvel sequel, I think it was a pretty easy answer. It's a film that perfected every problem that the very minor problems that the first film experienced, but it's a film that improves upon every aspect, and that is Spider-Man 2, directed by Sam Raimi in 2004. It is one of the best superhero films ever made. It completely defied what a superhero film can be. It looked at not only the superhero aspects, but it also looked at the everyday, the polar opposite of being a superhero, how Peter Parker struggles with balancing both his life as being a college student and having a job at the pizzeria, and then him being Spider-Man and saving people. There's that conflict, and that's the internal conflict that really defies that film. But it also has amazing action sequences. The train fight scene is one of the best action scenes in the past 2 decades. The hospital scene with Doc Ock, it is a great film. It won the best visual effects at the Oscars. It is one of the best superhero films ever made and one of the best sequels ever made. And it is Marvel's best sequel.
Good points, Jake. All right, Madeeh, tell us what the best Marvel sequel is.
I as much as I like Spider-Man 2, I chose Logan. Logan kind of blew everyone away last year with how amazing it was. Not just it kind of took away from it. It wasn't necessarily a superhero movie, but it felt like the movie Unforgiven by Clint Eastwood. So, the just everything about that movie just blows me away. Even now, when I think about it, I rewatched it again in preparation for this match here, and even still, man, like there's the subtleties in all three of the main characters' performances, especially with Daphne Keane coming into a role, but also uh, the the nuances that Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart can bring into the role now after 20 years of playing these characters. Uh, I think it's not only one of the best sequels ever made, but probably one of the best superhero movies or comic book movies in general that we've seen ever. So my choice is Logan.
All right, Logan versus Spider-Man 2. You guys got 5 minutes to fight it out. So begin now.
So let me just stop you right there. Problem with Logan is that there's already a film with the exact same story, exact same theme, exact same message as Logan, and that is 2006's Children of Men, which is a great movie, and Logan just feels like an exact people being copied.
I don't think it's an exact copy.
Let's go through the story, shall we? So
out of the way, I love both those movies, and yes, you're right, there are similarities, but I do not think that it's an exact copy of Children of Men.
Well, let's go through the story. Let's go through the story. So
is in the fact that when X-24 comes around, you kind of see Hugh Jackman facing his past, where in Children of Men, you don't really see Clive Owen facing his past at all. It's like, oh, he dated Julie Roberts. Julianne Moore. Yeah, he dated Julianne Moore. There's nothing in Logan where he's like, oh, I dated this person, now they're dead. No. What you see in Logan is a continuation of the Wolverine emotion of everyone I care about dies, and it's because he blames it on himself. So I think
didn't we say that next two though? Didn't we say that next two?
Yeah, and it's a continuation of that, and I think that's what makes it a better sequel is that you build on. Even though the other movies, yeah, they've kind of been up and down on how good they were. I don't think anyone's ever no one saw Logan and said, you know what, that wasn't good. Everyone saw Logan and was blown away. The first 5 minutes where they kind of got the R-rated out of the way, I think that was probably the only major weakness for me. Was like, okay, they just kind of throw you in there. Some people really like that. I was like, all right, you know what, just whatever. But the fact that they were able to craft this story and build so much on more of who Logan was with these same actors who have played them for the last 20 years, I think that yes, there are similarities to other movies, but I think that's the same with Spider-Man 2. I think you see similarities of Spider-Man 2 in other movies as well. I think
Has there been another superhero film in which the superhero gives up his identity and decides to be a normal person and give up being a superhero? Because Spider-Man 2 was like one of the first films to actually do that. The thing about Logan is that we've seen this film before with Children of Men. A disgruntled pessimist is taken to protect a child. They both have the exact same character of being like a selfish, I don't care about anyone at the beginning of the film, and then they sacrifice their lives at the very end for the future of mankind/mutant kind. The whole world is chaos, it's depressing, it's decaying, and they both feature an old British man who dies. The thing about Spider-Man 2 is that it's completely original. It's got everyone has an arc. Mary Jane has an arc. Spider-Man has an arc. Doc Ock has an arc. They all feel fully fledged out characters.
Doc Ock was probably my favorite part of Spider-Man 2. Although there were parts of it that I was just like, all right, this is a little Spider-Man 2, and like, to knock on it, it really is a little bit of a campy movie. Like, I don't really see it.
But that's what a comic book movie is. It feels like a comic book movie. You can't criticize that.
That's a campy movie. Dark Knight was not campy at all, and people fucking.
Dark Knight's a crime movie, not a comic book movie.
Okay. Now you're semantics here. Whatever the hell. It was kind of like a comedy and just action pieces, and then James Franco being whatever the hell James Franco wanted to be in that movie. Like, there was a lot of different parts of Spider-Man 2 that was just like, all right, this is kind of ridiculous. Like, the whole, oh, this guy just went into space. Was that Spider-Man 2 or was that Spider-Man 3? I can't even tell the difference anymore.
I'm not telling you.
I don't care. The Spider-Man franchise, the original Spider-Man franchise, as much as I like them, they're not, I wouldn't put them on a great level. Spider-Man 1, I would say, got the closest. Spider-Man 2 did very well, and I think Alfred Molina was the biggest part of that. But other than that, I don't think there was really anything holding it up. Like, a lot of the cinematography and a lot of the shot choices were very, very...
Amazing.
Like, I wouldn't say they were amazing. Like, looking into Doc Ock's glasses to see what Spider-Man was doing, I thought that was, like, ridiculous, honestly.
That was awesome. That was a great reveal shot. There's so many great comic book shots in that film. Like, when he gives up being Spider-Man, he puts in the trash. That's one of, like, the most iconic shots in a Spider-Man, in a superhero movie.
Yeah, no, in comic books, sure. But I don't think that... I think they were not focusing as much on the movie as much as they were paying homage to comic books. There's a lot of
what memorable shots do you see in Logan? There's like nothing memorable about that film. Like, let's compare both villains of the film. Doc Ock has.
You kidding
me?
Let me
speak.
Bleeding, like holding the hand of X-23 was brilliant. I thought that's
one shot.
Sorry.
Time. Okay. All right, guys. Get everything you have. Make your closing arguments. Make them precise. Make them not drawn out. And it's a real tight race right now, so make it count. We'll start with Jake again.
So let's just look at both villains quickly. Doc Ock, he spent his entire life devoted to fusion, and he's just a complete perfectionist. He is so committed to wanting to solve the power problems and by creating fusion to help the city, to help the world. That's his goals are like, it's a hero goal. Like, he's a good person, and then the accident happens, and he's still a good person. He just wants, in his mind, he is a good person. And like, who's the villain of Logan? I don't know. Is it the guy with the robot arm? Is it the Wolverine clone? Like, I don't know what his motives is. Like, he doesn't feel like a fully fledged out villain. That is a big problem with Logan. Doc Ock, he has spent his entire life trying to help, like, devoted to fusion to help humanity. It still feels like a goal. He has a goal, and he's motivated to do something, even if it's bad, that could result in the destruction of New York City. It still feels good, and at the end, he realizes that we sometimes have to sacrifice our goals, even if it means the good of humanity. Spider-Man 2 focuses on what it means to not just be a superhero, but also being a hero in your everyday life. Logan, like, there are so many problems with Logan. Like, how does he just have an adamantium bullet after he loses his memory? Where the hell did he get an adamantium bullet? It doesn't feel like a sequel. It feels more like a soft reboot because it's totally inconsistent with previous films. It's a very ugly looking film. Like, there's grays and browns color tones. It just doesn't look visually pleasing. Spider-Man 2 is one of the best films of all time. It won the Oscar for visual effects. It is a film that has many themes. It's a timeless themes. It is one of the best.
All right, Madeeh, your closing statements start now.
Oh my God, I have no more respect for you, man. I'm so sorry after that. I feel bad for you as a human being. All right, I'm glad you brought up the villains because basically Doc Ock was just brainwashed by his arms that entire movie. After the fact, like that was essentially the plot, is that he was brainwashed by his arms. And I'm glad you brought up the villain in Logan because I didn't get a chance to. But Danny Houston really did bring a lot to that character. I don't think that you're giving him enough credit. I think he played that character as a fan of the idea of the X-Men, not knowing if they were entirely real or not, but also not necessarily as his motivations. He's a soldier. He does what he's ordered to do. That's kind of what the motivation in most nowadays are, is that ordered to do something, did it. And the main villain, played by oh goodness, sorry, I'm blanking on the name right now. His main thing was trying to reproduce mutants, like inorganically, if I can say it that way. So I don't think that there was any, like, he doesn't see himself something wrong, which I think is another point towards him. Also, the fact that you said that Logan has no aesthetically pleasing shots is a shot through my heart, and I'm pretty sure everyone else's heart. James Mangold crafted so many beautiful shots in this movie. I've watched this movie maybe 20 times, half of them in color, half of them in the black and white version that came with Blu-ray. And there is nothing taken away on either side of those. I think the fact that you can craft such a well-shot movie in black and white and in color just speaks to how well and beautifully put together it is. You're focusing too much on this being a superhero movie when the question was, which is the better Marvel sequel? Wolverine Origins and The Wolverine were not great. Logan was phenomenal. Spider-Man was great. Spider-Man 2 was good.
All right, and time. Wow. So that was a battle. I think Madeeh had a stronger closing, but I think Jake had the strongest middle and kind of beginning, because kind of when he said the children of men, it kind of halted the fight for a little bit because it was just like, and Madeeh had to backstep a little bit. Not saying I 100% agree, because I had my own choice going into this. So I have to, on the first round, I have to give the first point to Jake. So again, good fight, good choices, great choices, I think. But again, it's not easy, especially when you guys pick really good Marvel movies. The next question: what movie so far this year stands the best chance of winning Best Picture? And we're going to start with Madeeh.
All right. Granted, we are still in July. Movies. Said The Quiet Place is going to be nominated for Best Picture at this point in time. The Quiet Place kind of blew everyone's mind in terms of making a movie almost silent, but not completely. Those of you I'm talking about, anyone who's not really a fan of horror, it's mainly a movie about where the creatures find you based on sound. And it's a brilliantly crafted movie with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. And there's so many moments in there that are just extremely built well with how tense they are and how on the edge of your seat you are and how focused you are on the screen, that I think it has to be nominated for Best Picture.
All right. A Quiet Place. And Jake, tell us what should also be nominated.
So I think a factor with just being best chance of winning is being relevant. And with the whole Me Too movement, the whole that stuff going on, I think there's only one film that really right now is relevant that features these types of themes and concepts in the movie, and that is Steven Soderbergh's Unsane. The thing about this is that both films are good films. I'm not going to deny that. well-liked films. But this is what has the best chance of winning, and Unsane is like just has everything that says Best Picture winner. It is from an Academy Award-winning director, Steven Soderbergh, who won for Traffic. It is shot on an iPhone, and it came out in the cinemas, released in the cinemas. The Academy loves technical innovations. Just look at Birdman. It was shot to make it look like it was one take. The Artist was made to look like 1920s silent films. Chicago was a love letter to the 1930s musicals. And what they love is a performance that is that's a transformative performance. And Claire Foy, who is British, plays an American who is committed to, who plays an American who is dealing with these psychological problems as she is taken into a psychiatric facility against her will. And she also deals with the whole Me Too movement. It deals with a past lover who is out to get her and stalking, and it completely plays with the perception of reality. Is it in her head or is it reality? And for the majority of the film, we don't know which is which. And I think it has a good chance of winning Best Picture because of these relevant themes.
Okay. So Unsane versus A Quiet Place. You got 5 minutes. No one added their extension, so battle it out.
All right, let's start off by saying both of these movies are really exceptionally well-made movies.
Won't deny that.
Like, I don't think either. Yeah, like none of us are gonna be like, "Oh, this movie sucked." No, like they're both very well-made movies. I think the only thing, and not the only thing, but one of the things that I think is going to be holding back Unsane is, I think, the fact that Steven Soderbergh hasn't really been fully in the Academy eye for the last, I want to say, almost 20 years. Like you said, he won for Traffic, which was what, 1990.
Yeah.
States. But like it was quite a while ago, and I think having someone like this last year with Get like putting some like pressure on the rest of the competition, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of shift in the Academy in terms of what kind of movies they are bringing in there. Now, Get Out really was a cultural phenomenon, and I think Get Out is something that's not necessarily going to be as cultural. That would be more along the Black Panther route, but I would say that it's definitely Academy hasn't time showing the now as she's really think, oh, she's a Brit playing an American, because that happens damn near every other movie that comes out. Is there some Brit playing an American? So they're not going to look at that. And I don't think Claire Foy's performance was good enough to launch it into that category either. I think Unsane, if the Oscars were today, yeah, it would get nominated. But I don't think 6 months from now, or however many months it is, because I can't do math, however many months it is that we get the nominations, I don't think it's going to be on that list, just because I don't think it's in the top 5 movies that have come out already this year, in my personal opinion. I still love the movie, but I don't think it's that high on the list of movies that are...
Claire Foy gave not only a physical performance, but she also gave a mental performance, because the film dealt with psychological pain in the film. That's what the Academy like. They don't just seeing like a one-dimensional performance. They like 3-dimensional performances. And Claire Foy gave a 3-dimensional performance tackling all of these ideas. The thing about Get Out, let me talk about Get Out. The thing about Get Out is that absolutely great film, but it's a psychological thriller. A Quiet Place is a horror film. Get Out dealt with themes that A Quiet Place doesn't have. A Quiet Place is, for all intents and purposes, a blockbuster film released in the summer. A Quiet Place does not have the intention of getting a Best Picture or a nomination, let alone winning. Unsane dealt with themes of identity and reality, and this is a film that is layered with these themes that the Academy like and will definitely have more of an intention of getting nominated than A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is just there to shock you and say, oh, I got scared. And a lot of people did get scared, but no one in their right minds would think, oh, this is definitely Best Picture material. Unsane has everything in it. It has exceptional cinematography.
material either. I don't think it gets to that level. I think if you want to put something in Best Picture material, you want something that like really pushes your thought. And yeah, Unsane did have moments where it was like, all right, yeah, this. I don't want to give away too much, right? Like I don't know how many people have seen it. Like I just saw it recently because I'm like there's so much that happens in that movie that I don't want to spoil. I don't think Claire Foy was even the best performance in that movie. I think that guys like Jay Farrow did phenomenally well in that movie.
Exactly, a great best supporting actor.
I don't think that there was anything that in any of their performances that pushed it to that extra level, though. I think they were great performances, but I don't think they were anything more than what is required.
Do you see that in A Quiet Place? Were there any performances in A Quiet Place that pushed it up like Claire Foy?
I saw in a long time. Like she's kind of been doing the whole like I'm in a musical or I'm in an action movie. This one where she's playing a reserved, caring mother, I saw more of her acting chops in those moments than I did in a lot of other movies that she's been in. And I love Emily Blunt as an actress, but this one was the first one where I was like, all right, what she's thinking about here is not just a physical performance that she gave being pregnant in the movie for the majority of the movie, but it was a lot of like you were kind of trying to get into her head of what she was thinking at each different moment. And yes, it is more of a horror movie, but I don't think that holds it back. I don't think you can say like I said, like we said, man, the Academy's shifting. I don't think we can say genre nominated.
Okay.
That you have
really strong middle rounds. Okay. Just pretty much closing arguments. Make sure you let me know why yours has the best chance of winning and why the other does not have a shot of winning. All right, we're going to start with Madeeh.
All right. Listen, we can argue as much as we want about these movies, but the fact of the matter is what's going to happen is it's going to come down to who can promote it and who's going to push it further. Steven Soderbergh hasn't really been in the theatric or in the cinematic field, I guess, for a while. Like he's been doing Magic Mike, and then he kind of went off and did a while, and he was like whatever it was that was going behind the scenes. I think John Krasinski, being the director and one of the major aspects of this movie, is really going to be able to push this movie, especially with the way that he's kind of seen the industry on both sides, like where he's been making movies, TV side. Kind of, I think that's really going to be able to help when he starts pushing the movie towards the voters and everything like that. So at the end of the day, if it comes down to votes, I think that John Krasinski is going to be able to get the votes more than Steven Soderbergh is.
Okay. Jake, start now.
The Oscars like auteur directors, and Steven Soderbergh is one of the most unique directors out there. If you look at these films like Magic Mike, Side Effect, Contagion, and Logan Lucky, which he came out of retirement to make Logan Lucky, and that was one of the best of Hollywood, one of the best films of last year, in my opinion. He is an Oscar favorite. He makes these great films. He makes Hollywood films, and then he makes his artistic films. He is the definition of an auteur, and the Oscars like auteurs. Not a lot of films get wide attention, but look at Moonlight. Moonlight was such a small film, just like Unsane, and that got a Best Picture nomination. Not only did it get nominated, but it won. It won. Moonlight won. It has the roughly same budget as Unsane. Both of them are small films. Let me ask you something. A Quiet Place. It's a science fiction horror film, right? How many science fiction horror films do you know that have won or at least been nominated for Best Picture? The answer is none, because I have none. And that is why A Quiet Place will not get nominated.
You don't ask questions.
I'm saying we'll get nominated because it has everything that the Academy likes: an amazing physical and mental performance, technical innovation with it being shot on an iPhone, and Steven Soderbergh's auteur directing.
Okay. So, one, Jake, don't ask questions to the other competitors in your closing statement because that's a debate.
It was rhetorical.
Okay. Well, still.
I didn't know that.
Okay. All right. So this all came down to closing arguments. And I think Jake took it in the closing because The basically was Madeeh said that Soderbergh won't be able to get the votes, but John Krasinski will, and then Jake pretty much just hammered all those points. So I think I think everybody was great, even though I personally think Quiet Place is the better shot. I had to put that to the side because of the argument. So I say Jake takes point number 2. But again, good choices. I haven't.
That was really tricky for me.
Quiet
Place is a good film.
I haven't seen it either, but neither here nor there. Okay, but again, anything can happen, so do not be discouraged. Next question is one that I'm not familiar with at all because I don't like these type of movies, but you guys will defend this to me. What is the best horror franchise? And we're going to start with Jake.
If you look at legacy and influence, I think there's only really maybe 2 franchises that can be called the best horror franchise, and I'm going with what I think is the best one, and that is Halloween. Not only is Halloween in the title, which has always been cemented with horror, it is started off as just a single film directed by John Carpenter about a serial killer named Michael Myers who wears William Shatner mask and kills babysitters. Yeah, great film. Then it spawned a sequel. A great sequel, Halloween 2, not directed by John Carpenter, but he wrote it. It also started to become a franchise in and of itself with Halloween 3. And then 4, 5, 6. There have been bad films that I'm going to look at and see soon. But there have been amazing films like H2O, in which Laurie Strode comes back to kill Michael Myers after 20 years after the original. To speak of legacy and influence, Sean S. Cunningham, a director, saw Halloween. And after he saw Halloween, he decided to make his own horror film. He looked at the techniques that John Carpenter did, the first-person POV camera, the final girl, and he called it Friday the 13th. So if it wasn't for Halloween, we wouldn't have Friday the 13th. So I think legacy has a big impact on what we should call the best horror franchise. It has its place in the history of horror, and it should be noted as the best.
All right, Halloween. Madeeh, tell us what. Well, Jake kind of already given it away, but tell us why yours is the best horror franchise.
Yeah, put up my load for me, man. So I picked the Conjuring franchise. Now, granted, it is not as lengthy as the Halloween franchise. It's only got the 2 major movies and then a few spin-offs with Annabelle and then The Nun, which I think the new one's it's not out yet, but it'll be coming out soon, if I remember right.
The Nurse or the Nurse? Never mind. The Nun. Yeah. The Nun.
Yeah. Now, the reason I chose this franchise was because I originally was going to go with something like Nightmare on Elm Street or one of the classic ones that have kind of spanned for so long. Then I started looking at and a lot of their movies have really sucked. Like I'll get more into this later, but a lot of the older franchises really don't have the legacy as much as they should. They've made 1 or 2 great movies, and then after that, it's a bunch of piles of garbage. The Conjuring franchise, on the other hand, has maybe had 1 movie which is not enjoyed by everybody, but The Conjuring 1 and 2, and then Annabelle were all really well received.
So Jake is going with Halloween, and Madeeh with a curveball. Didn't see it coming because I thought he said Insidious, but hey,
I thought he said Insidious too.
That's all right. He's allowed to change. Conjuring does count. So Conjuring counts. So start it out. 5 minutes.
How long has the Conjuring franchise been going on for? This is actual question.
I think it's 5 or 6 years now. I think 2012, if I'm not mistaken, was the first.
It's actually 2013. It's only 5. It's only been going on for 5 years. And is that enough to really call the Conjuring the best horror franchise of all time? Like, you got to look at the legacy of Halloween, and it has cemented itself in horror history. What has the Conjuring done for horror?
Halloween 1 and 2. Name one other good movie from that franchise.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Halloween H2O. Rob Zombie's
God.
Halloween is interesting.
Oh, God.
You got the David Gordon Green remake that's coming out. It's still relevant. The Halloween franchise is still relevant.
I'm excited for it because they have such a track record of being movies.
What's that, Conjuring?
No, for Halloween, you dipshit.
Oh, sorry.
The Conjuring, it's completely scary. Another thing that I love about the Conjuring movies, every time the schmoes interview the writers for the Conjuring, they always place Josh McCouga right fucking dead in center, and you just watch him squirm, which is amazing to me because I love it. But
he gets scared easily, so like,
he gets scared easily,
that has nothing to do with the franchise.
Stay on topic. Stay on topic.
Right, stay on topic. Sorry, I apologize.
No. You're good.
Conjuring movies, I'll say this. In the short period of time that they've been out, relatively to the Halloween movies, overall, they've made more money at the box office, gotten movies have. This is like the Conjuring movies. I don't think anyone cares about the Halloween movies anymore. People didn't know that Paul Rudd was in one of the Halloween movies. I found that out when I was researching this. Who cares? No one saw it. No one gives.
Everyone knows that. Paul Rudd even knows that.
They're bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis just because they're running out of ideas. They needed a movie.
They're ending the franchise. They're ending it. It's coming full circle with Laurie Strode.
I'm much into this. This movie, I hope it does well, but I'm not confident in it. Like, that's the thing. Every time a new Conjuring movie comes out, I'm confident it's going to scare the shit out of me. I'm confident it's going to be a good movie overall, and I'm confident that it's going to give me nightmares about whatever.
Well, okay. Well, you said Conjuring. You said Conjuring had only probably one.
And then he's gonna make jokes. Like, it's the franchise as a whole is not what it was when John Carpenter made it. It's the first two movies, sure, phenomenal. Well, the second one was great, but the first one was phenomenal. After that, it really took a stand downhill, man. Like, there's nothing left in that franchise. I don't think they have anything left, and I'm worried about this new sequel because I want it to be good, but I just don't believe in it. Every time a new Conjuring movie comes out, I'm still excited about going to see it. I could ask anybody down the street and be like, hey, which one are you more excited to see? A new Conjuring or a new Halloween? And Joe Blow is going to say the last Halloween movie sucks, so why am I going to go see that? Conjuring, I remember the last one being set. I think the Conjuring has kind of flipped the horror actually scares people, which we haven't had in a long time. Like, a lot of the horror movies we got pre-2010 were really fucking awful and didn't scare anyone.
You ask any Joe Blow about a film that they're looking forward to, a film that was released 2 years ago to a film that was released 30 years ago. Of course they're going to say the film that was released 2 years ago because it's still relevant. But Halloween has its impact in horror, and I think
population, man. Everyone who goes to see movies, not everyone as smart as we are. I'm not saying that we're smart or anything, but
it needs time to be the best horror franchise. And maybe in 10, 20 years, Conjuring will be the best horror franchise. But you said there's no bad Conjuring films. What about Annabelle 1 and 2? You really going to call them good films? Those are bad films.
I liked Annabelle 1.
Annabelle 1 was terrible. Absolutely terrible. It was a stupid spin-off.
Annabelle 1 was... I liked Annabelle 1. Conjuring 1 and 2 were both phenomenal films, though. 100% they were phenomenal films. I don't think you can say... for Conjuring 1 and 2, I think blow out everything in the house. Even if I take out Annabelle and the Nun, they still blow out everything from Halloween, like box office-wise and critic-wise. I
actually disagree with the box office one because the first Halloween film made so much money on over its budget. Like, I think it's one of the best cost to ratio budget to box office. Cody might have to look this up, but it's one of the highest grossing films in cost to ratio. I think that's what it's called. But still, Halloween absolutely made so much money, and that's why it's one of the best franchises, because not only is it still relevant with its legacy and influence, but also looks at the fact that it spawned one of the greatest horror villains of all time, and that is Michael Myers. If you look at Halloween, Michael Myers, Laurie Strode, Dr. Sam Loomis, Judith Myers, Jamie Lloyd, all of these are memorable characters. All of these are memorable characters that people know. People know who Michael Myers is. Does anyone know any characters from the Conjuring franchise? Like, is there any memorable characters from the Conjuring franchise that you can tell me?
Yeah, Annabelle doll.
The Annabelle doll is one. She's not even in majority of the country. She's in like the first scene, and that's it. And then they have to spawn her a sequel. It's like the Minions. You're comparing the Annabelle doll to the Minions, in which they're just a small side character that they get their own spin-off.
Now, okay, listen. Annabelle has not become a joke. I will say that. Michael Myers has become a joke.
It kind of is a joke.
Driver, when they were like, "Oh, get the Michael Myers mask," he didn't even know which Michael Myers he was talking about.
And what?
In Baby Driver, when they made a Michael Myers joke,
that was a funny joke. That was a funny joke. That was great. It's still relevant, as you can see in Baby Driver. They made a joke about that. Isn't that great?
Both of them aren't really making movies anymore. Both of them used to be good and haven't really done anything in a long time. They're both irrelevant almost, and I feel bad for.
Did you just say The Conjuring is irrelevant?
No. Jeez, man. Listen.
Stop. Time.
After the
time.
I hate this.
All right. I have plenty of fact checks after the round. Well, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to start with Jake. Tell me why Halloween is the best horror franchise. Tell me why The Conjuring is not. Start now.
Horror films, it's not always about just the scare. And Conjuring has scary moments, but so does Halloween. Halloween has a lot more than just being a scary film. It is a great film regardless of just the scares. If you look at the characters, Michael Myers, Laurie Strode, they have a legacy. Everyone knows these characters. Like Conjuring, I can't tell you anything other than like the Annabelle doll. Like that's it. It's a well-crafted shot film. The opening 2 minutes of Halloween is a long take that goes through the house and shows a POV kill. You'll never see anything inventive like that. Michael Myers is one of the best horror characters ever. Like that on its own should give Halloween the best horror franchise of all time. John Carpenter perfected the idea of the 80s slasher final girl movie. And it spawned Friday the 13th, and it was probably influenced. Wes Craven was probably influenced by that film to make Friday the Nightmare on Elm Street. It is an absolute masterful franchise, and John Carpenter is coming back to do the score. Like you can't say the original director James Wan has any other place other than executive producer on the spin-offs. John Carpenter is doing the score. He's happy with what David Gordon Green is doing with the Halloween remake. We are looking forward to this film. It is the best horror franchise. It has its place in horror history.
All right, Madeeh, your turn's up. Go.
All right. As much as I love the original Halloween movie, if it was just that movie versus just the first Conjuring movie, we'd have an argument. Unfortunately, it's gone down the drain, man. On the same path as the real Michael Myers, and it's gone the same path for the Nightmare on Elm Street. No one cares about him anymore. They're probably comedians, and it's not relevant. No one cares anymore about these franchises. The Conjuring is the new kid on the block that's really taking the world by storm. And I think it's become a better franchise based on the fact that the studio loves it because of how much money it makes for them. And I know we're going to be fact checking this, but it's made a lot more money than the Halloween franchise, anything the Halloween franchise did. Getting much more Halloween movies. No one remembers. Conjuring, every comes out that you see people getting excited. You see the horror fans getting all freaked out and like getting ready to go see the movie. No one's really excited because they hurt too many times. It's taking away from the franchise more than it's building it. As much as I love the original two, it's basically as if Michael Jordan did his first 2 championships and a bunch of shit for the next 10 years. If he had played baseball for the next 10 years instead of coming back and winning again. I'm upset to say it, but Halloween is not a great franchise compared to The Conjuring.
Okay. Whew. Time. By the way, that was one ugly
that was pretty bad.
Slam at the end. I'm just gonna throw that out there. As a huge sports fan, that was below the belt. Okay, so
come on, tell me it wasn't right though.
No, I respect it. Again, unpopular choices. I think One, Insidious, I think would have been like a harder argument, easy argument. Conjuring has done well.
Can I say God best horror franchise?
Okay, so to bounce off numbers, the original Halloween in rated R box office rank, it ranks 78th overall, but adjusted to inflation, it would be up in the top echelon. It was on a budget of $325,000 and it made $47 million. On the realm of Conjuring, every one of the Conjuring movies are in the top 20 in box office, with Conjuring being fifth right now behind It, The Exorcist, Get Out, a Blair Witch Project, and then Conjuring 2 ranks 10th. On IMDb, not on any Rotten Tomatoes, three of the franchises in The Conjuring are fresh. Only one is rotten, and that's Annabelle, the original Annabelle. Annabelle Creation is a 70%. So,
All right.
basically, where it comes down, this was a tough fight. I've seen both franchises. Jake, this is very opinion based, because for you to say Rob Zombie's Halloween is good is completely
A different, unique take on.
Let's listen. That did not come into the play. That's just my opinion.
No, that's fine.
It's just that movie's dog shit. But I also think the Annabelle. You both went toe for toe. Again, it kind of comes down to those closing arguments, and Madeeh did point out the fact that those. It may not be. What I think Jake got stuck on was time, a little bit. That Halloween's been around the longest, so and Conjuring hasn't been around that long, so you can't call it the best horror franchise. But I mean, it wasn't sitting in the chat, so I can't say it was 100% approved. But it is a franchise; it is spawning spinoffs, so it does count. I'm giving the point to Madeeh in this round, but that was a real tough. I think if you would have stuck with Insidious, I think you would have had a better argument, but you had to kind of adjust on the fly. So I think great job on you. It's just it was a tough hill to climb. Okay, so this one you'll get a little longer in your opening statements. Again, I kind of judge these a little different than maybe some do, but again, it won't sway. It's just like, what movie would I buy the ticket for? That's how I rule it. Because it's a tough, and it's not that you don't have to know me. It's just pitch me on a good movie. That's all I need, or pitch me on a good franchise. I should say franchise. So the question is, pitch an action franchise starring Nico's favorite, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and we're going to start with Madeeh.
All right. I love Jeffrey Dean. Man, he just makes me laugh. So my franchise is a Western franchise. I don't know why. This is like a theme with me today, like horror and Westerns. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan is an outlaw, as you know, his charm would tell you. And he runs into a town that is sheriffed by an old sheriff, Robert Duvall. So Robert Duvall is kind of on his last legs as the sheriff. He's kind of like getting old, needs someone to take over. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan sees this as an opportunity to try and take over, but Robert Duvall still gets the best of him. And you kind of has like a car situation where he's like the old teaching the new, with Jeffrey Dean Morgan being like the Lightning McQueen style character, I guess. And then Jeffrey Dean Morgan being whatever the blue car's name was. So he kind of takes him under his wing and prepares him for a bunch of other robbers from Jeffrey Dean Morgan's former posse. Sounds dumb as shit saying posse when you're not white, but it's basically him that could have been putting his past behind him of being an outlaw. So Robert Duvall is his new mentor, and Walton Goggins, just because he's always in Westerns, is going to be the...
He's great in Western.
Yeah, he's the guy that he has to face up against at the end.
Okay.
Do you have the title? No.
I mean, I would like if you want to wait until your next argument, but I would kind of think of a title and maybe who your director for the first movie would. But I would also in your next, you have to kind of tell how this will become a franchise. So
Okay.
Jake, you're up, and not to put you on the fly, but if you have like a director in mind for it, and
I've got a director's odd, yeah.
okay, cool. So Jake, start it off.
It's the not too distant future, and bounty hunters are now common. Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays a bounty hunter named Axel. He lost his right arm in the Iraq War, and it is surgically replaced with a machine gun. He becomes a bounty hunter with his machine gun arm, and is hired by a rich businessman to go and rescue his sister who's been kidnapped. He tracks her down in Bolivia and discovers that she's being used as a sacrifice for a religious cult-like religion. They plan to summon a demon to destroy humanity, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan rescues the sister, which involves a car chase, which results in Jeffrey Dean Morgan using his machine gun arm to take out the villains. The main villain, the head of the religious cult, the leader is played by Woody Harrelson, and he wants to end the end of times. He wants to cause the end of times by sacrificing this woman, who they plan to bring up this demon to destroy humanity. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, just imagine it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan with these action scenes where he has an arm. Just imagine him punching people, then shooting them in the heads. This film will be directed by Lee Winnell, who just directed Upgrade, one of the best action films of the past decade. You have these long take action scenes. Just think of like the scene from Old Boy, the tracking hallway fucking Old by him, fucking punching people and then shooting them. And the title of this film is One Gun.
I have so many questions. Holy fuck.
One gun.
One Gun.
Okay. All right. No one uses their extensions, so they are officially cut out for the rest of the match. Start your debate. 5 minutes on the clock. Going now.
All right, I'm going to start with the director is Clint Eastwood because he's phenomenal at making Westerns. And he's just overall a great character director, and I think you do really well making another Western again. I have so many... Is the machine gun as long as his other arm, or is it...
Yeah. Short? It's up to his arm is. It's a gun that's retractable.
The entirety of his arm?
Yeah. It's up to like here.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Now, is this not what Quentin Tarantino did with... what the fuck is that movie called? Where there's like a machine for a leg instead? Planet Terror or something like that?
You gotta be more specific. I don't know any Quentin Tarantino film that he directed with that in mind.
Tarantino film, perfect. He wrote it. Okay, so either way, reason
just focus.
Having Jeffrey Dean Morgan with one machine gun as an arm is just like, why put him through this, man? Like, I like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Like, let's put him something like a little bit more serious where he can kind of show his chops. Like everything he's been in recently, like Negan, I liked for the first 4 episodes he was in because I thought he was menacing, and then it just kind of got boring. Watching that, but not because of him. I'm take center stage again, man. Like, and I never watched it, but I heard he was great in Grey's Anatomy. Like, he was one of the central pieces and was really a phenomenal actor in that show. And I want to see him do that. I want to see him.
Absolutely. I want to see him do that as well. And you want to use Jeffrey Dean Morgan to your advantage because he can play some bombastic characters. And I think if you give him a gun arm, and he's going to absolutely play with that idea. And the thing is that mine actually can be a franchise. I can see Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing a bounty hunter with a gun arm in like 17 different movies with different concepts and different ideas.
I am not. That's gonna make it like Bruce Willis.
This is just a Western that we've seen before. Yours is Unforgiven or Open Range. We've seen these Westerns before. The Western franchise has died out. This is an action franchise.
I think it's making a comeback, man. We're seeing a lot of Westerns being made, like Bone Tomahawk.
I like Logan.
Yes, like Logan. I like Logan.
Yeah.
Lots of people like
Logan's a Western, absolutely.
Yeah, no, and I think we're seeing a lot of those come back. And especially on Netflix as well, we're seeing a lot of like Westerns come back. So I think it's going to be very popular for him to do it. Also, I think you can really make a franchise with it where he, like, kind of follows in Robert Duvall's footsteps and then becomes the sheriff he is known to be, but then more shit comes back from his past.
Yours doesn't sound like an action franchise, though. Yours just sounds like a Western, like a standalone Western. They'll be like, hey, that's a pretty good film. We'll get like a 67% rating from Tomatoes. But then we'll forget about it in like 6 months. Mine is going to be like Crank or Hardcore Henry. It's going to be just an over-the-top action film that people will be like, fuck yeah, this action is insane. It's supposed to be fun. And you're going to have fun seeing something that not a lot of people have seen. A guy with a gun arm. I mean, come on.
First Blood was phenomenal because it was over the top. It was with him, all rounded where he can actually show his range as an actor, and still him having a machine punch someone in the face going to be something. Oh, this is a dumb action movie, just like every other dumb out there. I want this to be in some people's eyes. I want to see this sequel to that one. I don't want it to be a dumb franchise. I want something that people like seeing. Anytime that someone goes to see an action movie with me, it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to see the sequel because I said the same thing in Rampage and I say the same thing in Skyscraper, both Dwayne Johnson movies somehow. But they're both dumb action movies. They're just
and they both suck.
I don't care. Like it doesn't give me any reason to care about them. All I need, what I want is for someone to make an action movie where I can.
That guy has a gun for an arm. Me too. I want to see that action franchise as well.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be dumb. Having someone with a
it's gonna be fun, not dumb. I think you're confusing dumb with fun. This is a fun out of 10 film. You can't tell me that you did not enjoy Hardcore Henry or the Crank films. Those films know exactly what they are, and they're having so much fun with it. The editing, the cinematography, the action scenes, they're all so great. Let's embrace the action genre.
They were ridiculously stupid and dumb. Like, they're fun to cover.
Exactly, they're fun, not dumb though. Yours is just a Western. Yours isn't an action franchise.
It is it's 100% an action franchise. You make it an action franchise by what you put in it.
By making it
a Western, but it still had a lot of action in it. Like, you kind of put the.
What genre is open range? What genre is open range?
Time.
Make it an action.
Gosh, Jake is just a mean, dirty Australian, and I love everybody.
That's what Australians are like. I'm sorry,
but he's literally like, I don't know what it is. What do you think? Blah blah, blah, and just cuts you down. So okay, so you both are kind of missing a little bit of the point. I need to know where this movie is going to go. So your closing is going to be a little extended, but tell me where you see this character going in the franchise. And please stop mentioning Hardcore Henry. Okay, that's just personal. Just kidding. But I know it has no ruling unless there's cut down. But yeah, so everything. We're going to start with Madeeh. You have a little bit extended closing. Just make sure you tell me where you see this. I kind of need a little bit more from your movie anyways, but tell me where you see it going from here and why it's better than one arm. Is that right?
One gun.
One gun. Sorry.
It's one arm would be better, but I know.
It's okay. You're good. Starting.
All right. The way I see my franchise going is I see it becoming a trilogy, essentially. Because really anything more than that is just overdone. So what I see is in the first movie, he meets Robert Duvall and kind of is motivated to become more than just an outlaw and become a good human, or as much of a good person as he can be. So trying to change his path. The second movie is going to be incorporating his past as something that comes back. I haven't actually written these movies, so bear with me. Something from his past and kind of tries to push him back towards the dark side that he's just narrowly escaped, when he knows in his heart this is the path that he wants to go down and this is the path that he has to go down. So it's going to be that internal conflict between who he is now and who he was when there's someone from his past coming up to him. And the third movie, what I see happening is he kind of is a little bit older, doesn't have to actually be older, but like plays a little bit older, where he's kind of settled into the role finally, but it's still the fact that he's not entirely sure if he ever was this good person in the first place. He's still doubting himself, but he still sees himself as someone that can be people shows kind of like the you had good people, too much bad, and so he's always kind of finding that balance. And it's in the third movie where he kind of sees himself saying, "All right, this is how much bad I have to do to protect the good people in my life."
Okay. I now see fully where your interest can go. Jake, tell me where One Gun goes from here and starts now.
You said that it looks like you're just pitching the Man with No Name trilogy than the action franchise. The Man with No Name trilogy is a great trilogy of westerns, not an action. That's besides the point. You said it has to be a trilogy. Look at Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible. Those films did more than 3, and they're still relevant. They're still great. They're still awesome films. They still kick ass. Let's completely just go with the genre of action and completely just go over the top. I can see probably 7 films in the franchise, and each would do with a different scenario. Like the first one's him facing a demon god. Like that'd be awesome. Him with his gun, him jumping up, killing it in the heart. That'd be awesome. You want to see this over the top action. You want to have a good time. And the next one, he could go down into an underwater layer to fight mermaids. Like that'd be awesome. Let's completely go with the franchise and make it something that everyone's going to remember as a fun, entertaining franchise. Just imagine yourselves in the theater, and the first shot of the film is ripping off the James Bond thing and him going bang and him shooting it and just an explosion. I just imagine so many different action scenes with him with the gun. Let's really just go with the idea of him with a gun for an arm. What about him riding a motorcycle going through like a building as it's falling down? Him shooting the glass to allow him to escape out. Like so many amazing action set pieces you could do with this franchise with one gun. And then the sequel would be One Gun 2, and then it'd be 2 guns, and then he would have another gun with him. There's so many endless possibilities you could go with this. And I think you really want to go with that. Let's just absolutely go and take it away and do something insane. And action should be insane because that's what action is. Action is just masculinity, just going guns blazing. And I think a guy with a gun for an arm would be effing insane. One gun. You have the first one directed by Lee Winnell, then get Neville Dean and Taylor who did the Crank films to do the sequel, and then just get James Wan to do the next one. Get these indie directors to just have their vision of a guy with one gun for an arm. There are many possibilities. I think this would be amazing. One Gun, the franchise that will destroy everything.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna need a second to.
I'm just gonna disappear for a bit.
If anybody ever is a fan of movie fights, Jake's pitch was the closest thing to Nick Mundy I have ever seen. The most crazy, off the wall topic. So first of all,
I just lost credibility as a film fan.
First one is what movie ticket would I buy? Neither. No offense to either one of you. I hate. I think the takedown that Jake said about the No Name trilogy, that was a pretty good. That was a pretty good takedown. But then I honestly think the entire round, like Jake shot himself in the foot
with his one gun.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't against you, Jake.
How
like
are you
I think
a motorcycle with a machine gun for an arm.
That's awesome.
Listen. I think Jake. Every time he said those action movies are stupid and they're dumb, and that's what's wrong with the.
I said they were fun.
No, I'm talking about Madeeh. This is my turn.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Madeeh kept saying they're stupid and dumb, and then you kept saying he wants something different in the action franchise, and he wants something more relevant and something like this. And then you said, let's make 7 movies and let him shoot through glass and take off James Bond. So you pretty much just reiterated his point the entire time by presenting a dumb, stupid action movie the entire time. So D takes the point. It's 2-2 going in the speed round. I feel bad, but it was just like
I lost. I'm not. I lost to one machine
No.
gun.
It was
That's
it
not
was
fun.
almost to the point, because when you started your point, I was like, okay, Jake can take this round, I think, because yes, we've seen this movie, but normally when a fighter doesn't talk enough, it kind of hurts him. But when Jake talked way too much, it really hurt him and brought him down bad. So, again, that's just my opinion. People can release me, but I think yours was more thought out. But gosh, that movie sounds terrible. Please, Jeffrey Morgan, do not make one good. Do not make one good. Okay. So, how the speed round works.
Not the speed round.
Whoever says it first gets it first. If you both try to say it at the same time, I will try to figure out who said it. The first one to talk, it starts with 30 seconds. I'm going to do better than I did in my triple threat. As soon as you start talking, I will start the timer, and then you'll have 15 seconds to rebut. The only thing that's going to be a little questionable is if Madeeh's mics break up. I will try to keep track of like a fair 30 seconds. All right. Question number 1. First one to win 2 of these takes it.
Yeah.
What was the best trailer to come out of Comic-Con this year? Okay. We have Glass from Jake. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Shazam.
Okay. Both I really, really enjoyed. So this will be interesting. Jake, 30 seconds when you start talking.
For 18 years, we have been looking forward to the sequel to Unbreakable, and we are finally getting it with Glass. After the success of Split, we are finally getting the sequel, and I'm so happy to see everything going into place. We have M. Night Shyamalan coming back to write and direct this. We have Samuel Jackson, Bruce Willis, James McAvoy. It looks like the villains are teaming up. This is not just a comic book movie. This is transcending what a comic book movie is and looking at the themes and ideas of it. I'm so pumped for it. The little that we got to see is great with the character interactions with Samuel Jackson and James McAvoy.
Okay. Madeeh, as soon as when you start talking.
As much as I like the Glass trailer, I think Shazam blew it out of the water. I think people really are doubting the DCEU or whatever they're calling themselves. And I think Shazam really brought some lightness, which people are really wanting to see. I showed it to my mom, who are book fans. They like the movies obscure about why Zach started jokes. They started laughing. They're enjoying themselves watching the trailer, and they're really excited to see the movie now. The Glass trailer is very niche, and I think it kind of gave away a lot when it was like, looks like the villains are teaming up. I really think that Shazam aren't.
I gave you a little bit because your mic broke up a little bit. So, all right, 15 seconds as soon as Jake starts talking.
You say that the Glass trailer already gave it much? Well, Shazam showed how he became the Shazam. It showed the villain already. It showed Mark Strong. The thing about DC, we don't even know what the hell their plan is, so who cares? We are looking more forward to this film because it's been 18 years since Unbreakable. We are finally getting that film that we've been looking forward to.
All right.
I said a bit more to say, but I didn't get to say.
15 seconds when you start talking.
I don't think as many people know it's a sequel to Unbreakable as you think they do. I think a lot of people are just like, oh, it's Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson in a movie. And I think that it does kind of. I don't think it gives away too much with the Shazam trailer because all it shows is Mark Strong catching a punch. I think people are really going to be excited to see a superhero that's lighthearted and kind of give hope to disabled kids.
He's not disabled.
The friend of his.
I said that. Okay.
What was that?
Well, I was trying to get you both to stop talking.
Okay.
There's no more arguments. You guys are done. But this one's so tight. I'm giving you both 15 more seconds. So, Jake,
okay.
because I'm literally, it's right down the middle. I think you both counter so well. So 15 seconds starting now, or whenever you talk.
When was the last time we were super excited to see an M. Night Shyamalan film? It's been a while. I'm so glad that we're finally getting this Glass film. We're finally getting a film that I can actually be excited for, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. This Shazam film just looks like another DC film. They have no idea what the hell they're doing. I don't care if it's fun, lighthearted. It still looks like it's an unfinished franchise that is not worth fighting for.
Madeeh, 15 seconds when you start talking.
I'm still not fully sold on M. Night Shyamalan, man. I still have too many doubts in my mind when it comes to him because he's done a lot of bad movies recently, and he's only really done one or two good ones since then. I'm really excited for Shazam because it shows something different. It shows something lighthearted. It shows a kid being a superhero, which I think a lot of kids really need to see, especially right now when the dark.
This isn't even the final speed round question yet. It acts like it.
I know. You guys are straight killing. That's tough. Okay, give me a second to.
Hey man, take your time.
I'll give you an hour.
Parking lot in the middle of nowhere.
Did you literally pick my two favorite from Comic-Con?
Off the record, that Shazam trailer was pretty good.
No, they're both really good trailers.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to talk my process out loud, and then I'll probably come to a decision. Okay, so you both pointed out great points about the trailer, of course, and then you both pointed out big weaknesses in the other, which are pretty much the same thing. The DCEU does not know the plan they're going. Doesn't want Shyamalan have another good movie in him, and it was back and forth. But I have to go where the second argument was, where he did the counter, where Jake had to do the counter to the scene where the movie's already going because he countered where you said the team is teaming up. He pretty much counteracted that a little bit better to me. So I'm going to give the first point to Jake, even though I think it's 51-49 because it was so tight. So
that was close. I didn't finally listen to that one because that was really good.
This one is going to be, I wish, easier, but it will be easy if it matters who says what. So your next speed round question is, what is the best film in the Mission Impossible franchise?
Mission Impossible 4, Ghost Protocol.
Mission Impossible 4 was good, but it only had really one great action scene and really forgettable villain. Mission Impossible 5, however, had a really good villain with the start of the secret agency. Rebecca Ferguson was phenomenal, and also had the water diving scene and also the motorbike chase scene and so many more great stunts like the hanging on the side of the plane. Absolutely phenomenal. Mission Impossible 5 pushed it to a new level with Christopher McQuarrie. As good as Brad Bird was, he is not as good as Christopher McQuarrie in this kind of situation.
Whew. Okay.
Well, it's better in the one here. I want to point that out.
15 seconds, starting when Jake's.
Did Rogue Nation do anything different that Ghost Protocol didn't start and implement? Ghost Protocol started what the Mission Impossible franchise is today. It has amazing action set pieces. Jeremy Renner comes in and becomes a great side character. You see Ving Rhames at the end. It's always great to see Ving Rhames. Simon Pegg becomes one of the main characters in the franchise.
Okay, 15 seconds when you start talking.
Mission Impossible 4 also had Paula Patton, and other than being a really good-looking woman, she really didn't bring anything to the table. I think Mission Impossible 5 had all of those guys in the cast and also had a lot more to do with them. Ving Rhames is actually substantial in the movie instead of just being there for 10 minutes. Alec Baldwin was phenomenal in that movie as well as the director again.
All right.
I think Jake already kind of knows. Yeah, Madeeh takes the point. It started where Madeeh was stumbling. You stuck on the tower and then was stumble, and then you pretty much gave him the ammo to come back in the counter. So that's why.
I knew I had lost that once I said Ghost Protocol.
Okay, so this round is coming down to the final question. So how it works is you get 30, 15, and then a third of 10 seconds. So here's the question. Comes down to the wire. I didn't see this way. This is the way it's coming. And oh, what an interesting question it is to end the round. Which upcoming sequel to the beloved 80s property has you more excited for? Bill and Ted Face the Music or Top Gun Maverick?
Top Gun Maverick.
What was Madeeh's?
Bill and Ted.
Okay,
Yeah, go.
perfect. And Jake, talk first. So, kid, you can talk. Start your 30 whenever you start talking.
Top Gun is one of the most quintessential 80s movies ever made. Everyone loves the Top Gun action sequences, the fight scenes. Everyone remembers the characters like Maverick and Iceman and Goose. We are finally getting a sequel to that, and I'm so looking forward to that. The thing about Bill and Ted, we've already seen 2 sequels to those films.
Got like 10 more seconds.
Oh, shit. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Fair enough.
I need time to think.
All right, you're good. 30 seconds, Madeeh, whenever you start speaking. You had a good opening, so you're fine.
Top Gun was a very good movie for its time, but I don't really think I really want to see another one of those. I've really not really done anything. I don't really more Reef recently. I don't know if you guys followed that at all. Keanu Reeves has kind of had a really great comeback recently, and I really want to see that keep going. With him coming back as John Wick, it's been phenomenal, and I really want to see more from Bill and Ted because he's not the greatest actor, but he really does really well. It's a fun movie. I want to see what they and save the universe. I want to see what they do next. It's just going to be a fun movie that I can enjoy, and then I can kind of go back to the other ones.
All right, 15 seconds, Jake, whenever you start talking.
Yeah, you're right. Carano isn't a good actor, and he's definitely not good at comedy. Did you see Knock Knock? That was terrible. We've already seen a couple of Bill and Ted sequels, so really, I'm done with the franchise. Let's see a sequel to Top Gun. After 30 years, it's about time we see a Top Gun sequel. I want to see what Tom Cruise does, how his character has evolved. I want to see what Maverick's going to be doing at the Top Gun School Academy. There's so many ideas they could do with that.
Okay. Madeeh, 15 seconds when you start talking.
Top Gun, I really don't need to see anything from the sequel. I mean, unfortunately, the only thing that I'm kind of concerned about is how they're going to treat the relationship between Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer, because they were basically together in the first movie, and then they kind of just weren't for some reason. Bill and Ted, I really enjoyed those two dynamics, and it's going to be fun to see them again.
All right, 10 seconds. Comes down to this. Believe me, it's close. Jake, whenever you start talking.
If Tom Cruise says yes to a Top Gun film, then that means the script's probably going to be good. Keanu Reeves, he just wants to do another Bill Ted film because the only franchise he can carry up is John Wick.
Time. Madeeh, 10 seconds. Starting now.
Tom Cruise also made Oblivion, and that movie was fucking awful. I think these movies are going to come down to the brotherhood aspect of who is a better bromance. Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer, I don't really want to see because I don't really like Val Kilmer. I think. I fucking hate these things.
Speed rounds can kill you, man.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay. Again, it's going to be unpopular to either way I go at this point. I am awarding the final point to Jake. And I feel bad for that way. It's just you kind of set him up on something, and then he counteracted it where it wasn't that good. And then his final point, even though I 100% don't agree, it was just you weren't able to get the final thing out. He was more precise with it. So again, I would love to see this match part 2 because I think you guys are great opponents for each other. I really do. And maybe when Madeeh has better service. But this is a fantastic performance from both of you. I have to award the final point to Jake. Jake takes it 4-3. Wow.
Oh.
Wow. So I'm going to go to each one of you guys, talk about it, maybe who you want next, stuff like that. So, Jake, you did it. You're 2-2. How do you feel?
That was probably my favorite match. Even if I had lost, because I won everything that I wanted to win, and everything was tight and close. And even though I made a couple mistakes, I'm still happy with how it went. Madeeh is a great fighter, and I loved our dynamic that we had going back and forward. And yeah, if I would love to face Madeeh again, part 2. I'd be up for that. But as far as who I want next, let me think. Let me think of who's still in this. Who's someone who I have a shot at beating?
But I don't want to cut in. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. You and Manning would be a really good match, I want to say, because, like, I feel like you guys would really go at it as well, and you guys kind of have, like, similar kind of styles, and I think you guys would do really well. Like,
I also think you versus Russell Howe would be a very interesting fight, too, because Russell is very he just after this match, he just had a good showing in his last one, so I think that would be also a good appointment for you. These always come down to. I've always said it comes down to the counter. It just is a battle, and who can get that final one out? The speed round decides it all. That's just basically it. And when you pretty much conceded Mission Impossible, I was like, don't go defeat. And then you only use 15 seconds. You only use 15 seconds of your opening. I was like, Jake's giving up. But then you countered back strong in the last 2. So, yeah, I would like to see you versus Manny or Russell. I think those would be great, and we'll try to get those in the works.
Against either. I'd be up for that. But that was a strong fight.
I also think you and Madeeh round 2 would be an awesome one because you guys counteracted so well, and it was almost to the play on of pissing each other off. So it was pretty sweet. Okay,
I mean, some of it was intentional on my part. Some of it was not. But like, Madeeh, you're a fun guy, and this is great.
Yeah. Thanks.
So Madeeh, unfortunately took the loss, maybe because of bad judging. I don't know, but I think you guys did. I think you guys did fantastic arguments. Again, you countered back from 2-0 down to get the final 2 points, especially with Jake shooting himself with his one gun.
That's a great pitch. I demand a retrial.
You will not get it.
Get about one gun.
How you feeling, and who would you like to take on next in movie Battleground?
You know what, man? I always enjoy these things. Like the movie Battleground ones are a lot of fun. Like, as much as I love trivia, this is probably my favorite league. Like, just because I just get to have so much fun, like fuck around with the camera sort of thing. It's not you're right or you're wrong. Like, it's just about what you can prove. Man, I love these fights. Jake, you're a hell of a competitor. I don't know why I keep getting into this fucking speed round shit, and I don't know. In terms of who I'm gonna see next, man, I'm gonna have to. I don't know. Honestly, right now I'm going through a transition in my life. I'm gonna be moving pretty soon, so I might not be back for I don't know how long. It just kind of depends on how school and everything goes. So if I get settled and I have time, then I'll be back. But for right now, I'm a tentative retirement, but we'll see, man. I'm always going to be down to come back. I'm glad you guys keep letting me on camera, even though I probably get rid of most of your under like me. I get that. These are always a lot of fun, man. Like I'll try and come back as soon as I can, but I can't say right now who I'd face because I just don't know what the future's going to hold for me right now. So
fair enough. Again, this is probably my favorite match I've hosted. I've only hosted 2, but this definitely takes the cake over the first one. You guys did a fantastic job. I like the one-on-one format better than the triple threat. So you guys, again, I'm excited. Whenever Madeeh steps back in, I'll be glad to see him again. And Jake, I'm excited to see where you go next. So for me, go to Newberry. Jake, where can the good people find you? And then
You can find me on Twitter at PretentiousHack. The P and the H are caps. I am a regular on the There Will Be the Worldwide Movie Trivia Singles League. I'm recently announced in a #1 contender match against Paul Oyama and a triple threat match that is yet to be filmed yet. So look forward to that. I am also going to be in the team league in Worldwide Movie Trivia with a partner that I have not yet revealed and won't until some time has passed, but look forward to me there. And I'm also on Multiplex Entertainment. I'm one of the editors there on the Movie League. And yeah, you can find me hopefully in the future on Movie Battleground against Manning or Russell Howe. So yeah, this is fun. I had a good time. And yeah, Madeeh, Jake 2, they'll come out in like a year or so.
All right, Madeeh, where can good people find you?
You can find me at your local bar, drunk on the table, any night this week. Also on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, etc. at Madeeh R. Hopefully see you guys soon, man.
All right. And I'm Cody Newberry. You can find me on Facebook, Cody Newberry. This is a fun match. We'll see you later, guys.